Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Check-In. I'm Sarah Lesky. He's Jamie Thomas, and we are here to get you ready for Game 10 of the regular season for the Winnipeg Jets. Go into Minnesota today with a 6-3 record. A very, very busy day in the NHL. All 32 teams in action. It is frozen frenzy.
Yeah.
In the States.
They stagger the start times and everything like that. So should we show that graphic? We're going to do this. I'm just asking. There it is. Look at it. This is an Eastern time.
Yep.
We were obviously in the Central time zone.
So obviously lots of choices, but the game that you really want to watch, of course, is the Central Division battle as the Winnipeg Jets look to get back into the win column tonight. We are looking forward to having Sarah McLellan join us from the Star Tribune. She has covered the Minnesota Wild for a number of years. We will talk about the divisional matchup, what is going on in Minnesota. Obviously, they made headlines this summer with the Kirill Kaprizov deal,
A little bit of money.
just a touch,
Yep.
that he signed, but they are not off to the start that they would have wanted. So struggling to find offense down there besides Kirill. So we'll talk to him. And then, game 4 tonight. I mean, as if it's not busy enough with all 32 teams in action, 16 games in the NHL. Well, there's a little thing called Game 4 of the World Series tonight. Big Dodgers fan right here. Did you stay up and watch the entire game last night?
Yeah, I did. Listen, it would be hard to stay up that late and invest that much time and lose. So I feel for a lot of Blue Jays fans here today, because that must have been a terrible finish for you. Freddie Freeman, the hero, 1 year from the day when he hit the grand slam in Game 1 of the World Series against the Yankees last year.
Okay.
So Freddie knows a little something about delivering in the clutch. But 18 innings, 6 hours and 39 minutes. They've literally played 2 games pretty much.
Yeah.
In one night. Went through the bullpen, both teams. So I'm curious to see what they have to how you follow that up when they play Game 4 tonight back in Los Angeles.
Yeah, certainly there's a lot of talk. So you and I have discussed, and I think I've mentioned on the show before, I'm not a baseball fan in any capacity, but I do love a Game 7 out of any sport, and I can totally buy into a World Series, especially when it's got the theater and the drama that we have seen so far through 3 games here. So I was glued. I was doing other work last night.
What part did you take in? What part of the game did you take in? Like the 9 times that Shohei Ohtani got on base, like all that stuff, or did you anything?
See, but that doesn't rattle me the way it would others, because I'm not as invested as some people.
The vitriol that are coming at me today, like you would not believe.
I looked down at my phone this morning when I woke up, and I think I'd put it on Do Not Disturb last night. I think there was 47 comments or something in the media group chat of everyone watching and talking about it. And then nothing from this guy at all until this morning. And then he puts in.
Well, I didn't want to dig it in at the time, because then
you just wanted to let it.
I wanted everybody take it all in. Sleep it off,
and then remind them, just boom,
just right there. And I sent because I just sent this video of Freddie Freeman, and I sent it to Dan Robertson afterwards. He's like, Jamie, I'm in the media group chat. I know what happened last night. So he's mad. There's a few guys in the office that were cursing at me. I didn't do anything. I just cheer for the team. I did not hit the home runs. I did not strike out last night. I did not mess up. So don't be mad at me.
So many of you, did a lot of you stay up and watch it? And then today with the times, I mean, with the staggered starts that we're seeing with the NHL games, it's unfortunate that the Jets game does line up with Game 4. So you'll be able to go back and forth between the two, be on commercial breaks, flip on over to the baseball game and see what's up. Or maybe you have 2
Well,
screens
you'll know
going.
the Jays are going to lose, so just stay and watch the Jets game, because it'll be very entertaining. It always is when they play Minnesota. That's the whole thing.
Well, and there's stuff to talk about for after morning skate today as well. So yesterday the Jets just flew; they didn't skate. Minnesota had an off day yesterday as well after their loss the other night. But let's take a look at what the projected lines are, because we're seeing changes coming out of St. Paul today. They have seen some lines that we have not seen before this season. So in particular, you take a look at the changes on those bottom 3 lines. So Vladislav Nemesnikov has been moved to the wing on that Taves line with Iafallo. We don't often, as many of you know, see Nemesnikov on the wing. He played it 3 times last year. I looked it up, at least started the game 3 times last year on the wing. He played with Brad Lambert and Cole Perfetti in those 3 games. So he's moved to the wing. Morgan Barron gets the bump up. He has played really well in the middle and has certainly been able to utilize.
Outside of the Connor Scheifele-Velarde line, the 4th line's been the most consistent. So,
yes.
And Morgan Barron's been a big reason for that. So for him to get the bump up with Niederreiter and Nyquist is well deserved.
Is well deserved. And Parker Ford drawing in on that fourth line. This will be the third time that we've seen him this season. We have not seen him in any of his previous games center the line.
Yeah.
So he's always been on the wing. Even last season when he came in on the fourth line, David Gustafson was centering those. But we have seen him utilized obviously in a variety of ways. We know that he's taken a bunch of draws already when he has been in the lineup. So that is what, no changes on your blue line, but that is what it's looking like up front. Thoughts?
Well, so I automatically you see Lambert and Chibberka. I know they've been alternating in the lineup, but Ford comes in because a little more grit with him, and that's the type of style you're going to be playing tonight, especially in Minnesota games. They're always owly, I guess is the best way to put it. So you get a little bit.
Is that really the best way to put it?
I like owly.
Owly.
Yeah.
All right.
Feisty.
Owly. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I like those more. It's just owly.
Yeah. It's the first thing that comes up.
I'm gonna check.
I was tired. I stayed up really late last night.
Well, so did the rest of us. I am going to check.
Okay, you're gonna look into. Are you fact checking me?
I'm just gonna look as to what century or decade of owly was commonly used. But continue on, please. Don't let me stop you.
Well, Kenny's water bottle. Jamie's 100% pro wrestler heel mode. I appreciate that. That's fine. That's fine. That's 100% fine. So what is it you're going? What is it? What have you discovered? You're fine with owly.
It was not the first word I would have used, but go continue.
See, thank you. Owly is a very, very old term.
Yes. Which is usually, my husband would tell you, is usually a word that I would use then, because he always likes to say.
But that's a word that
this was a word that was common in the 1800s.
1800s. Okay.
Yeah, he goes way back for me.
Yeah. Because I would be like, my mom would say, "You're very owly this morning."
Interesting.
But I was in the 70s. So that obviously explains many, many, many things. Back to the lines. Like with how they played, there was a lot of inconsistency in their game, especially in the second period against Utah on Sunday. And you have last change. You're trying to get something going. You need something from your bottom three lines because a lot of the scoring is coming 5-on-5 from your top line. So you're trying to find something, especially on the second line with Jonathan Toews. And Vladislav Nemestikov has played on the wing before. Obviously, he's done it throughout his NHL career. That's just what you do. But you're trying to get some people going here. And I just talked about Parker Ford. That's just more grit on your fourth line.
Well, Scott Arniel spoke to the media in St. Paul just a short while ago. Well, let's see. Do we have? Well, maybe we don't have that.
Find it. No, it's right there. Kane, I'm going to fire this right now. Okay, buddy?
Okay.
You made a few changes up front. What are you looking for?
Just kind of like I mentioned the other night, the inconsistency in our game for 60 minutes and just looking at kind of pieces for each line, what each line kind of needs, and then the other side is what Mini has, and they're a group of forwards, and kind of just sort of trying to match things up a little bit that way. I don't know. Sometimes when you don't like how it's going, you kind of mix it up a little bit, and so just want to see a little bit of a little different look.
And what are you hoping to see from Vladdy on the wing? We talk about his versatility all the time, but we'll say it's center.
Yeah, and that's part of the things that may come down the pike. I don't know how it's going to all shake out here in a week when Lau comes back. That may be something that I do. So, I mean, Vladdy's been great in the middle of the ice, but this is the best part, that he can play both wing and center. So, get a chance tonight and see how he looks on that line.
What challenges does Minnesota present for you guys? They've been struggling so far, but...
Yeah, well, we don't like each other. Central Division opponents, they are always good games. Certainly they have some dynamic offensive weapons over there, and we can't get into situations like we did at home the other night where we gave up easy opportunities, easy chances, odd man rushes, because they'll finish those off. So, for us, it's against a team like this, making sure that we make it hard. They got to go a long way around to get to the net, that they don't get any easy opportunities off the rush, and really force them to play a lot more in there in the rink.
Okay, so it's a longer scrum. It goes about 6 minutes long that Scott Arniel had today, but it's the most pertinent bits with respect to facing Minnesota tonight, but obviously the changes that he's made to the lineup.
Right, and that's what everybody wants to know what's happening, right? So it's very well. You decided for that 3 minutes, so you're on fire already today. So because you're on fire, doing so well, you get to introduce our next guest.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
last season,
Yeah.
tried many times to get her on, but our schedules were never able to coordinate. She is very busy covering the Minnesota Wild. She has done a fantastic job covering them for many years. Sarah McLellan, if she'd like to bring her in from the Star Tribune. If you do not follow her, you absolutely should be, as a Central Division team and someone that we see often.
Yeah, lots of seen Sarah, but she's covered this team for a very long time, and that was a great introduction. So congratulations.
It's been a tense morning so far. Sarah he's a huge Dodgers fan, so he's very happy. He's trying to antagonize many people over the fact that
not trying to, I am antagonizing.
Sarah, so the Wild 3-5-2 to start the season, but you look at the struggles that they have had. What is going on with this Wild team?
Yeah, it's been an inconsistent start for the Wild, and maybe kind of surprising in the sense that this is a veteran team. There wasn't a lot of turnover in the offseason, so it's most of the same roster coming back. And obviously they got off to a terrific start last year. So it's been kind of different to see them kind of struggle to really just play to their identity. They are a team that prides itself on just being a tough out, hard checking, forechecking team. And they just haven't been able to play that way consistently. There's been spurts of it, but just not a complete 60 every game. And that's obviously reflected in their record. But, they are missing some key pieces. Matt Zuccarello's been injured and is yet to play this season. He's just now actually rejoined the team on the ice. In that type of setting. He's still probably a few weeks away, until he's actually back in the lineup. And they have some young players too. Rookie Z Buyam has been in the lineup, from the get-go. You might see him on the power play if that opportunity, rises for the Wild. So, they're the same, but they're different. And I think that's kind of been, captured in their results so far, that there is familiarity there. They are trying to play the same way that's, given them success as recent as last season, but still trying to, kind of maybe work out the kinks and get everybody on the same page.
Well, Kirill Kaprizov signed a mammoth deal in the offseason. Sarah, have you seen him? Is that kind of weighing on his shoulders early, or are you just seeing everything that you usually see from Kaprizov?
Yeah, I think he's probably indicative of the team right now in the sense that they just really want to turn the page on this kind of funk that they've had with only one win in their last 7 games. But he's still very much their catalyst, especially up front, getting the offense going. They rallied 3 times, the other night against San Jose from a 2-goal deficit. And he was obviously very much involved in that. So I think now that the contract is signed, it's behind him. He's very much looking ahead to the future. And I think he's probably someone who does kind of put the weight, on his shoulders to turn this around, to get the team going. He's just such a vital part of their offense, but it's both ends. This is still a team that really does start from its net out and how they defend and how they get up ice. And so I think especially against the Jets, that's going to be a big focus for them tonight, just taking care of the puck in their own end. And then, how that can help them get on offense and get players like Kaprizov, Matt Boldy, Joel Eriksson, that get them going offensively to help the team.
What's the temperature like in the fan base right now, Sarah, with the start that they've had?
Yeah, I think there's probably a little bit of curiosity of like, is this the Wild? Is this going to fade? Are they going to snap out of this? I think last season was such a success for them. Like I said, they had a tremendous start. They never trailed, for their first 19 periods of the season, which is really remarkable. They obviously had a lot of adversity though with injuries last season and Kaprizov pretty much missing the second half of the season. But they were a tough out against Vegas in the first round of the playoffs. So I think that really showed what this team is capable of. But then again, you come into this season, there are a lot of the same faces, but it is new. It is different. And you have rookies like Z Buyam being integrated. David Juracek's another youngster on defense. Danila Yurov at forward. He just scored his first NHL goal last week. So it's still, even though it's a veteran team, there's growing pains, which, kind of seems incompatible with the life cycle of where this franchise is at. So I think for fans, it's, just kind of maybe recalibrating to this year is different. Yes, they were successful last season. Yes, they had a really good chance to get out of the first round against Vegas. They didn't. But this season still just has a little bit of a different vibe. And I think it's still just kind of figuring out, okay, who can the Wild be this year? Like I said, they haven't played to their identity consistently. But I know they want to get back to what that was in the past. And that was such a good template for them, the way they played last season. So it still kind of just feels like that wait and see mode for them.
I know he wasn't he wasn't their starting goaltender for a majority of his time in Minnesota, but how big of a loss is not to have Marc-Andre Fleury in the dressing room and around the players every day? Because, considering what we see all the time through social media, that must be a big loss inside that dressing room.
It is a change, and he's still around a little bit. He's still been around, at training camp, at the arena, here and there. But you're right. I mean, he was such a persona, such a presence in the room. And I think, too, just kind of navigating the ups and downs, he just had a perspective about him that I think others could really look to, and that, you can't get too high, you can't get too low, on the roller coaster that is this season. And so I think that, there's other veterans, obviously, that they can look to, but even someone like Zuccarello, who's been injured, I think he's someone too, who's always had a really good, pulse for that. So that's probably, challenging so far this season, that they haven't had, maybe some of those veterans in the past to kind of set that example, but it's still a veteran heavy team. You look at Jared Spurgeon as captain, Marcus Foligno as an alternate. I think they still have, the players in there who can set that tone. I'm not sure about the pranks. We'll see. From Fleury. I think Philip Gustafson said maybe he would try to do that every now and then, kind of keep it light. Obviously he worked alongside Fleury these last few years, but it is a different vibe. But we'll see if someone starts to prank everybody like Fleury did.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm so jealous that you got to cover Fleury on a daily basis. He is one of the great personalities. He's like great players, but great personalities of the league. And even from going back to obviously his time in Pittsburgh when he used to cover them in the postseason, and I think, gee, I just wish that could you be around that sort of energy and personality on a regular basis. Sarah, just before we let you go, give us one thing that you're watching for with the Wild tonight that Jets fans should also be keeping an eye on.
Well, Marcus Foligno's questionable to play, so we'll see if he gets in the lineup. But this is always a matchup, I think, that plays to his style of game and really the style that the Wild wants to play. So I'll be curious to see if they can get back to that forechecking identity, trying to wear Winnipeg down, in the offensive zone. I think that's really key for the Wild to have success, is just to kind of outwork teams, get them chasing. This is also a team that struggled early on in games. They've trailed a lot. And so I think getting the first goal tonight would probably be a big turning point for them and maybe set them on a different course tonight. So that's something to pay attention to, who has the advantage early.
All right. Well, looking forward to it. Sarah, thank you so much for making time. I'm so glad that it was finally that we were able to connect with you, and look forward to seeing you when the Wild are up here in Winnipeg.
Take care.
Okay, thanks so much.
See you, Sarah.
It's Sarah McLellan from Star Tribune. Like I said, if you don't follow her
She's very good
on X, you absolutely should. Minnesota has a collection of great beat writers. Sarah, as mentioned, has been covering them for years, and is certainly, when you look at a divisional opponent,
right,
and the number of times that the Jets and Minnesota end up clashing, that's certainly somebody that you want to add to your list of hockey follows.
Well, you may have noticed, like when we threw up the projected lines, that the Heritage jerseys are so their Jets are wearing their Heritage jerseys again tonight, fourth game in a row. And the reason why for that, Minnesota Wild is celebrating their 25th season in the NHL, so we can give you a shot of the jerseys they'll be wearing. That's from early on, when the Minnesota Wild first came to the National Hockey League. So interesting jersey combination tonight, but that will be the reason why the Winnipeg Jets are wearing their Heritage jerseys on the road. We're so used to seeing the dark jersey at home and the white jersey on the road. Kind of nice to see that happening again, because I've always been kind of a big fan of the white jersey on home ice.
It's true. Keeping with that idea of the 25th anniversary. I mean, we know that it's the 15th anniversary or 15th season for the Jets this year, 25th, as you mentioned, for the Wild. At some point throughout the season, in another one of the Wild Jets matchups, we should definitely see if we can get Jamie McLellan on to talk about, because I believe he was on that roster. He was one of the OGs that came out of it, and it was certainly a very different time when you had expansion teams back then versus the way that things are done now with the likes of Vegas and that sort of thing. So tonight's game, it's a 6:30 game. Our 6:30 pregame show that starts on TSN3 as always. You can always listen to it on CJOB as well. And during the homestand, this last homestand that the Jets just finished, we talked a lot about the fact that Doug Armstrong was in the building, general manager for Team Canada for the upcoming Olympics. So watching Josh Morrissey, Mark Scheifele, while tonight down in Minnesota, who happens to be the GM there and the GM for Team USA?
Yeah, Bill Guerin. So Connor Hellebuck will get the starting goal tonight. Obviously, a big part of the Four Nations face-off team. Neil Pionk went to the orientation camp in the summertime, as did Kyle Connor. So hopefully a big game from all three of those guys with Bill Guerin watching on, even though I'm sure Bill Guerin doesn't want that to happen tonight, but too bad, Bill.
That's one of the things that struck me when Sarah was talking about the Wild, and some of it was the inconsistencies that we've seen. You know, they haven't been able to find maybe play to the identity with that consistency that you expect to see from them. Kirill Kaprizov leading the way, but maybe need some help. Haven't seen everyone else contribute the way that want them to. I thought there were some similarities between what we were hearing from her, what we have been seeing lately from the Winnipeg Jets. And I don't know if those of you watching right now had the opportunity to hear Scott Arniel's postgame comments after the 3-2 loss against Utah on Sunday, but I thought that they were very pointed comments, very direct about how he felt about his team's play.
First period was perfect. It's the type of game you have to play. It's the first time all year long where we played all 18 skaters the way we need to play for that first period. That was stayed over top people, got pucks deep, defended from the inside out, were physical, attacked the net, did what we do, got through the neutral zone. Second period is the exact opposite. Self-inflicted, just decided that maybe that was too much of hard work. Didn't think we could do it for the second period, and it's a broken record. Keep seeing this second period. We keep talking about these second periods. All it does, especially in our building, gives the opposition momentum, and mistakes happen. Second goal, we get on the wrong side of people. Terrible line change, back of the net.
In game 9 here, it's time to end that stuff. I mean, it's about playing 60-minute games in this league. You're not going to win many, and that's a good young team over there in our division. And if you're not going to play 3 periods, you're not going to have success. And talk to them that what we did in the first period is hard work, and it has to happen each and every shift, and it has to happen from all 4 lines and all of our D. And that's our DNA, is usually our work ethic and our compete. And I didn't like what we saw in the second period.
So the second period was highly entertaining on Sunday. I know the coaches probably hated it, but there was a lot going on. So both teams scored twice. But I think what he's getting at, there's just like a lot of mistakes. They're just getting away from things that make them successful. And, the first period, from an entertainment perspective wasn't there, but they were solid in their own end. They were breaking out of their zone, same way that they had the previous game against Calgary and then again against Seattle. So it's, they've outscored the opposition 11-10 in the second period, but it's just a lot of things they're trying to get too cute. They're trying those cross-size passes. They're trying hold on to the puck too long. All the things that coaching staff doesn't want them to. It's all been drilled in since training camp, going back 2 years even. So that's the first time I've really sensed a lot of frustration in Scott Arniel this year. And the fact that he says it's game 9.
So I like a couple of the comments. Arniel sounds exactly like my disappointed dad.
Yeah.
Right above that, the comment as well.
Yeah.
Coach Arniel. Tad Owley.
See?
Work it into a sentence today, folks.
We're like a family here. That's what I love about you guys. You take the word of the day and you put it into a sentence. It's like class. We're doing fantastic, like Sesame Street. So thank you. Thank you so much for playing along here.
I think that one of the things that
thank you,
continues to be clear is that there are a number, and we have heard Scott Arniel and players speak about this, but with the new faces that have been integrated into the lineup and the additions this year, it's taken time to be able to find that chemistry and that consistent chemistry. That's very good.
See? Those are sharp today.
But it's taken time to be able to find that. And Adam Lowry's on this trip. We heard even in the comments from Scott Arniel in that scrum. So we're hoping maybe in a week.
Yeah.
that he'll be back. Cole Perfetti, Dylan Sandberg, hope that they're getting much closer to returning as well. And I think it shows just how valuable those 3 players are.
Yeah. It's great that you can win without them in the lineup, but it's for extended periods of time when the season starts getting to be a little bit more of a grind. It's very hard to replace what all 3 of those players bring to the Jets. So it's the depth is showing now, but you would prefer to have that depth, in the press box or those options to go to people with Adam Lowry, Cole Perfetti, and Dylan Sandberg in the lineup. So the fact that they're 6-3 right now without those 3 is very impressive, but you don't want this to become a season-long discussion.
No, because he mentioned about how close the game against Utah was Central Division opponent. Tonight, it's against Minnesota. Next game, October 30th, here at Canada Life Center is against the Chicago Blackhawks. And you take a look at what the standings are right now within the Central Division. And look, things are tight. I mean, Utah's leading the way, but you think all of the teams are in action tonight. So continue to be able to see movement on here. And it's about wanting to make sure, although very early on in the season still, you're wanting to make sure that you keep pace with everybody, because you don't want to see any of these teams take that step forward and leave you behind.
Yeah, we'll keep in mind Utah beat Minnesota the day before they came in here. So they're by far one of the best, stories.
Yeah.
The optimistic stories to kick off the National Hockey League season. So it's just pushing to the theme that we've been pushing all year, is that the Central Division's a grind, it's a gauntlet, and Utah's living up to that. And then you look at Minnesota's 4 points back. You win tonight, you're 6 points ahead of them, and putting some space between yourself against a critical rival.
Yeah, absolutely. When you say about Utah and the job that they've done so far, I was speaking with Dominic Moore, a former NHLer who's now part of their broadcast team. And I was talking to him about the start that Utah's had thing. And he said, and so we were just discussing the grind of the West, because when he played, he was always in the East. And even most of his broadcast career has been based out East. And he said he was talking about how the Central Division, although everyone talks about it, yes, you can say, oh, it's the toughest division. He said, now that he is covering it on a daily basis, he knows. And he was saying it is the toughest division in hockey right now. And you're dealing with the challenges on the ice from top teams. You don't have a lot of those teams that are struggling in it. And then also you add in things like the travel, a variety of different things. This is certainly a gauntlet of a division for people to deal with.
Should we throw the lines up one more time before we
Let's
get
do
out
it.
Here? You like to do that, so.
Well, I like to see, in case people had not had the opportunity.
In case you are just joining us.
That's right.
Here's what we're thinking.
So this is based on
what we decided.
This is what Jamie decided. So if it doesn't work, it's not on the coaching staff. It's on Jamie.
I decided this would work best.
This is based on the line rushes that were seen at morning skate today. You see that there's some changes to your 2nd through 4th lines. Vlad Nemesnikov moving onto the wing alongside Jonathan Taves' line. Morgan Barron getting the bump up to that 3rd line. Both of us really like that move and think that his level of play certainly warrants, and he deserves getting that extra bump. Parker Ford draws into the lineup. He will be in the middle, something that we haven't seen of him. We obviously have seen it where he plays his career, but haven't seen it at the NHL level yet. And looking for what sort of game tonight against Minnesota?
Grinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, real grindy, real alley type of game here coming up in Minnesota this evening. Fun fact.
I love fun facts. Hit me.
Jonathan Taves gets 1 more point.
Okay.
He'll move into 3rd place for most points by Manitoba-born NHLer. He'll have 889 points. He has 888 right now. He's tied with Butch Goring.
Okay.
He'll move into 3rd place, all by himself.
Yeah.
Flin Flon, Manitoba's Bobby Clark, my favorite player growing up.
Okay. Well, of course, because he was you were a Flyers fan.
Yeah, leads the way with 1,210. So Taves got a little bit of a way to go on that one, but could come and move into 3rd place, all-time Manitoba-born NHLers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's my fun fact.
Okay, go.
I mean, it's not. I guess it could be a fun fact.
No,
if
it's fun.
If you're a Jets fan, it's not like that. But Minnesota's record, if the opponent scores first, 1-5-1. So we heard Sarah talk about how the start.
So if the Jets score first, that's a fun fact.
That is a fun fact.
Right.
That's right. We heard Sarah talk about how the start could be very important for Minnesota with the struggles that they have had when having to play from behind.
Mm-hmm. And they're behind a lot against San Jose. That game was 6-5 final.
Which can I just say that, and I don't know who mentioned it. I was listening and talk about San Jose, and it was coming off of how Utah's been playing better and their young guys have stepped up.
Yeah.
And everything you're seeing, Chicago take that step forward as well. And they said San Jose is such a fun team to watch.
Right.
And I said, watch
Same with
out
Utah.
when they eventually figure out how to play defense. But in the meantime,
Right.
it's entertainment.
Yeah. Well, they've had enough high draft picks now that it's all starting to turn around the corner. And I think I think San Jose might be in a smaller way, like the Jets were when they were all their key players were starting, their core group were starting to mature.
Yeah, I enjoy watching Celebrini.
Yeah.
So upcoming this week here at Canada Life Center, because it's just a 1-game road trip for
Again,
the Jets. Yeah, but then they go out forever. They're gone for half of
We're never going to see them.
That's right.
Yeah.
So just drink a lot of coffee because there are a lot of 9 p.m.
6, 9 p.m. or later starts on that one coming up. So we're not going to get into that one. But
No,
Thursday.
Thursday, it's the Halloween game.
Right.
So if you're coming to the game, costumes, highly recommend
Right.
for it. Thursday against the Chicago Blackhawks, who we mentioned are off to a better start. Connor Bedard and company in town. So it's great
fun.
to see because I do like when you have, it is important for a market like Chicago to get rolling again because they weren't as much fun to watch last season. So obviously the first time that Jonathan Toews will have faced his former team as well. And then on Saturday, a 2 p.m. start.
Right.
The Jets are hosting Pittsburgh Penguins, and they are also on a roll of late. Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, you may have heard of Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
Both the older guys off to great starts. Sidney Crosby
Fountain
just had
of youth.
1,700 points. Got that milestone yesterday. So congratulations to Sid the kid, who is not playing he's playing like a kid right now.
I was going to say, he's not a kid anymore.
He's not.
No,
No.
he's not. Okay, as mentioned just a little while ago, the pregame show for the game tonight on television gets going at 6:30 on TSN 3. Looking forward to hearing Dan and Kevin's call of this game. And you can always listen on CJOB. Paul Edmonds, Mitchell Clinton. Game 4 is going on at the World Series. We will find out on Thursday whether or not this guy is really happy or very sad. There's a lot of people mocking him returning.
Be over by
returning the favor to him. But all 32 teams in action tonight. So lots of options if you are a hockey fan or sports fan. But of course, the game that we are most interested in, Central Division battle between the Minnesota Wild and Winnipeg Jets.
Enjoy the game, everybody. Thanks so much for watching.
Thanks for checking in, everyone.